Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session on making your ideas a business reality faster with the power of a low-code automation platform. My name is John Rogers. I'm a member of the product management group in Appian's engineering team. And for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about how Appian can meet your needs for business applications in a practical, efficient, and scalable way. I'm going to show you our suite of low-code tools and demo a few targeted features. But first, I want to ask you, could you build this robot? Now, this is a real physical robot. It's not an RPA bot, if that's what you're thinking. We do have sessions on those. This is not one of them. This is a robot built by Unitree that can navigate obstacles and avoid walls, and you can give it pretty general directives like get to the other side of this room, even if it's a room that the bot has never been in before, and it can do that just fine. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that I don't even have the first tool I would need to build a robot like this, let alone any kind of know-how that would let me actually build it. But what about this robot? This is a robot from Lego Mindstorms, and it actually has all the same capabilities. You can give it a general directive like get across this room. It can navigate and avoid walls. And this robot, I'm pretty sure that I could make in the first try or pretty close to the first try. Lego's really good about giving you all the things you need in the box, giving you a clear set of instructions and help. And this is the image that I'd like you to keep in mind for low code building. We're not talking about building something that is less powerful or less capable, but we are talking about having the capabilities you need available out of the box. The Appian platform has built apps for hundreds of customers. We know what the most common capabilities needed are, and we've made them available in low code or no code ways in many cases. And I want to show that story to you today. I won't have time to go through all of our low code features in a 25-minute session. So I'm going to focus on the overall arc of the story that we tell with Appian's low code platform and give you a sense of the features that make that story a reality. The basic story here I want you to know is that Appian's low-code platform is a way to take all of your data, make it visible in the same place, and make it easy to act on. And we'll go through each of those in turn. When we talk about all your data, we mean all the data that your enterprise already has, whether that's in a database, whether that's in another software or application that's only accessible via a web service. Wherever that data is, we can connect it to Appian. You don't have to move it. You can leave your data where it is, and we'll connect to it and bring it into Appian. When we bring it into Appian, we can make all of that data available in the same screen so that you can have a single comprehensive view of whatever is important to your business, whether it's a customer, a facility, a building, a doctor. You can get all the information on that business noun in a single place. And then finally, this isn't just a visibility tool. You can take action from that view. If you need to update information, if you need to kick off a business process, you can do it directly from that same screen. So Appian's low-code platform lets you bring together all of your data in a single UI for a single view of a thing and act on that thing, bringing together data and process in a powerful low-code way. Let's talk about the features that make that possible. First, let's go through the data side of it. One of the most common places your data might live is in a database table. And Appian for years has had the ability to easily connect to your database data without any code whatsoever. Here, I'm making a data structure in Appian. This might be the fields of a customer or a vendor or any other entity that you need. And I'm pointing to a table that's already in the database. Appian pulls in the structure of that table, says, hey, are these the columns you needed? I can say yes, no, rename them, drop some out. And then Appian generates a data structure in Appian. And not only the shape of that data structure, but the connection to the database so that I can take that data shape in Appian and easily fill it with the real authoritative data from my database table. You can do this in about a minute without writing any code, go from nothing to having that data populated in Appian anywhere you need to write a query for it. And you can write that query in a visual way without needing code either. But not all of your data lives in the database. Sometimes it's going to live in another system, whether that is a big known common system like Salesforce or SharePoint, or some specific in-house system you have that connects via web services. Appian has excellent integration capabilities, and regardless of which of those scenarios it is, we can connect to it, and we can do so pretty quickly. But for the ones that we know are the biggest and the most common, we've built out specific named capabilities that take all of the guesswork out of the connection process, that know exactly what it's like to connect to that system and can do it without writing a single line of code, because we know the exact fields you need, we know the exact process, and we provide it to you. And that's the next thing I'd like to show you. Is I'd like to prove that it really is that simple. And I'm going to do it with a demo of connecting quickly to a DocuSign system. So I'm going to switch over now to a window where I've got an Appian app loaded up. And here I've got all the objects in a candidate onboarding application. This is where I'll do most of my demos from today. And if I need to send documents to a candidate that I have who is onboarding into my company, I can go and make a new connected system. Pick one of these named systems with built-in experiences. I'll choose DocuSign. In this case, I'm going to call it my quick demo. And for authentication method, I'll choose, I know that basic authentication is easy, but is also a more legacy option for DocuSign. So I'll choose authorization code grant. And immediately I start getting walked through the process. This is the URL that I need to go and put into DocuSign for it to work. This is the authentication information I have to get from DocuSign. So if I go over to my DocuSign instance, I go down to the admin setting for API and keys to connect to things. Now here I've already put in some of the information because I practiced this demo ahead of time, not because it was technical or I needed to not show it. So if I go into my existing application setup, you can see, for example, that I've already put in that redirect URI that's provided here. But to go get the instance URL, I go back to DocuSign. I get the instance URL, I copy it, and you're going to see throughout this whole demo, all I need to do is copy paste. Get the account ID. It's right there. We know what that field is called in DocuSign. That's why we labeled this field this way in Appian. And get the integration key. So now I have to go into my specific application. There's the integration key. If I go into here, I can copy it. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Finally, I need a secret key. Here, I do have to generate a new one to make it properly secure. You see a list here mostly because I've practiced this demo a few times. I'll add one more and copy it. Save it so that DocuSign knows about that secret key. Paste it in here, and I'm actually done. Well, not quite. I need to pick the development environment so I don't make production changes. I authorize, we test that connection, and just like that, green, successful authorization, I have a connection to DocuSign now. I'm going to use it in a new integration just to prove that I did it correctly. I'm getting warned that I haven't set security on my new object yet, which I'm going to skip because this is a demo, but it's great that Appian warns me to get this right. And setting up my integration, I already know that I'm using that connected system I just made. I'm going to pick the first operation, just sending a document for someone to sign. Label this quick integration test. It's just for this demo. And save. It opens up that new integration. And again, I just have a couple simple fields to fill out. The email I want to send it to, I'll send it to myself for now. My name is John Rogers. Subject line is going to be, please sign this for my demo. And for a document, I already uploaded a file into the system for this. If I hadn't, it would be as simple as uploading a new file here. I've got an employee agreement. And just like that, I'm going to test the request. It comes back. This is the request that comes back from DocuSign. This integration reached out through the connection I made to DocuSign, told DocuSign to send something for signature. I can see the request and the response and all that information here. And if I go to my email, sure enough, here's the email from DocuSign asking me to review a document. I can open it and there's the document. I'm in DocuSign doing that now, but I orchestrated it from Appian and I set that up in about 2 minutes. So coming back to the presentation, those are two of the powerful ways that you can quickly get your existing systems and data connected into Appian. I showed you how to connect in a database table. I showed you live how to connect to DocuSign and make it do something in just a few minutes. Next, let's talk about visibility and making your information visible together. This is about really getting your UIs the way you want them to look the way you want them, and bringing data into those UIs. The first piece of that is having a great drag and drop experience. And that's something that Appian has had for years, to just quickly get the components you want on the screen, arranged the way you want, be able to work on them directly in a live preview that looks exactly the way that interface is going to look when it goes live. No need to compile or preview it to see what it'll really look like. This design experience is consistently one of the most talked about parts of our training. People are always impressed at how quickly and easily they can get their UIs to look good. But getting your components set up is only part of it. You also need to get data into those components. So here I've got a grid I just dropped in. It's blank because I don't have any data for it yet, but I can quickly relabel it because of course I can act on it directly from the live preview. And then I can quickly say, hey, I'd like to put data into this grid. And I'm going to point at that database connection I talked to you about earlier and showed you, where I connected a candidate table into Appian. I pick that, Appian says, hey, here's some of the data that's in that table. Is this what you want? I say, yes, let's go. It drops me into a query editing experience where I could add filters, I could change the number of results, but I can also just take the defaults and go, which I'm going to do. And just like that, Appian writes the query and populates this grid with real data from my database. It's already working. I can do paging and sorting on this grid right away. The only thing I'm going to change, here's where it goes from no code to low code. I have one bit of code I'm going to do here. And that's that this position column is a little bit busy. It pulled in the entire set of position information. I really just wanted the name of the position. So I go into that column, I pull up the code for that column, and it's that much code. Row.position, and I'm going to change it to .name to focus it down on just the name field. That makes that column a lot less busy, and my grid is obviously a lot denser now. It's that quick to get a grid in your UI populated with data from your database in Appian. And it takes that little effort and that little coding. In addition, if the components we offer out of the box are not enough for you, we have a lot of components and we improve them. We add to that library every quarter, every release. But in cases where it's not quite the thing you want, and after all, Appian can only churn out improvements so fast, we released a component software development kit a year ago that lets our customers and partners write their own components and make them available in our Appian app market. So that if you, for example, in an app, you don't just want the milestone component that we have, which looks like that thinner preview right there, kind of a linear process. If you want a component that can really blow it out and show you the substeps of the process, then you can go to the app market, download the pipeline component, and put it into your application. When I built this for the demo you're seeing here, it took me about a minute from the time that I found the pipeline component on the Appian app market to the point where I had downloaded it into my environment. And I didn't have to do technical steps to do that. I went to our admin console, I browsed the list of available plugins, and I clicked install. And from that moment, the pipeline component was available just like Appian's other out-of-the-box UI components. So finally, what I'd like to show on the UI front is that we are always refreshing our library of templates and patterns. These are examples that are built out to show you some of the best ways that our components can work together. You need a landing page. Do you need a trend over time report, an example dashboard? There's a lot of components to those UIs, and you can drag and drop to build them yourself, but you can also take advantage of best practices and examples that we've put together for you. So whether it's getting components on the screen quickly, making them look good, getting the flexible components you need, or quickly getting your data into those components, Appian has the UI tools that will let you do it quickly with a minimum of code. Finally, let's talk about acting on it. You've got all your data, you've got it in the UI, now you need to take action. And here is where Appian has another set of tools. The first thing you might need to do in terms of taking action is to add a new data point. I'm looking at my list of data, I need to add something. I need to capture new data. Appian makes it easy to use a data structure and say, I need a form that will capture this data structure. And it's for editing, it's not for read-only. And we'll make a form for you. And not only does it have all the right components, but it's already wired up to the data so that you can fill out that form and it'll save right away. And you can continue, because you're already in our interface design experience, to make it a better looking form. Sorry about that. You can continue to make it a better looking form. And when you're ready, you can wire that form up to a process. This is Appian's process modeler. It's one of the mainstays of our low-code experience and has been for a long time. And it allows you to draw your business processes like a flowchart, except that it's an executable flowchart. You draw out the shape of your business process. You can connect it to UIs like this, or put those UIs into nodes here as tasks, and capture the existing business process you're already doing, but now in a guaranteed, regular, auditable, consistent way. Finally, you've got a process like this. It has task forms throughout that will capture data or modify data, and you need to invoke this process. And that's where Appian has a new tool in our 20.1 release. We've already had a number of ways to kick off processes, to take action from your UIs. If you're already an Appian practitioner, you might know about some of these, like record-related actions or start process links. In 20.1, we're adding the record action field. This allows you to take a defined action, a process that already exists, and plug it directly into your UI with minimal configuration, but powerful control over the appearance and behavior of it. And I'd like to show you that right now. So again, let me switch back over to that application I was building before. We'll go back to that screen, come back to my application design experience here, and open up an existing UI that I have. You saw this one a few slides back as we were looking at some component capabilities. And here I'm going to take a record action component and just drop it into my interface. And immediately I'm going to get prompted for what I might want to do with it. The first thing I'm going to do is add an action. And I'll pick out, now at this point, remember, I have already defined some of my UIs in process. In a 25-minute session, I don't have time to define all of that. So I have a candidate record already, and it has a set of defined actions. These are processes like what you saw in the process model earlier. So if I pick something like upload document, and I have to tell it which record I'm acting on, what's the ID of the candidate that you're acting on. And I pick out an input that I already have. And just like that, the component appears. I might have to test to give it an actual ID. Just like that. The behavior is already there, and I can, with no code here, control what I want that behavior to be. Do I want that to look more like a toolbar, to look more like a link? Maybe a larger card is what I need for this UI. Do I want that form to open in a dialog? Do I want it to open in a new tab? Do I want it to replace this current tab and then go back to here when you're done? Powerful control over the way you want your user's flow to go without having to write code for it. I already have this action. Now I'm controlling how the user experiences it. Okay, that brings us to the end of the overview section. And what we've gone through is a short list, a sub list of the tools Appian has for connecting to all your data, bringing it together in one UI, making it visible together, and allowing you to quickly act on it. Now we're going to see just a quick idea of what that can look like all playing together. What does it look like to have an application that can do those things? What is the experience that you can give to your users? So we're going to take a small example idea and just play through what the homepage of that app might look like. So an application that probably most of your organizations need is a good HR onboarding experience. Your HR team needs to do a number of the things on this screen to be successful at their jobs of getting new talent into your organization. And I particularly want to call out the last two items in the list here. Not only do they have to do these actions of following along with candidates, making sure that the paperwork gets signed, but you want them to be able to, and they want to be as consistent as possible about it. You don't want to accidentally do wrong by one of your candidates just because you did the process differently for them. And you want to be able to tell, you want to be able to audit when something goes wrong so that you can make it better. So let's look at an application that might look a little bit like this. And I'll switch back over one more time to my demo site to show you that application. So here is a home page that can be built with all the tools I just showed you. We've got all of your data pulled together. So the top grid here of to-do list, this is a list of processes that are running in Appian. And they're processes that have assigned this HR personnel a specific task to do to make sure the process proceeds, whether it's to get a badge or to get a laptop for a new employee or something else. So this is pulling data that's in Appian. It's about Appian processes. Here, you've already seen us pull candidate data into Appian. So this is coming out of a database system. But notice something interesting here. This color-coded status of whether we're behind or on track is actually coming thanks to DocuSign, because this status is coming via connecting to DocuSign, passing them this user's information, and asking where that user's DocuSign work is. Based on that, we populate the status, and based on the status, we know whether we're on track or not for that user. So this is not just data on the same screen, but even in the same grid from both DocuSign and the database playing together. And then finally, your authoritative list of positions in your company might come from another system entirely that's connecting via a web service or other integration. All together here, I can go into one of my tasks. I can launch one of those record actions to add a new candidate to the system. And I can edit those positions that are in another system entirely. All your data together in one place, easy to act on. Let's go back quickly just for the last few minutes here and talk about the highlights of that experience. Just to reinforce one more time, the tools that the low-code platform here is offering you. We looked at multiple tools to get your data into Appian, whether it's connecting to RDBMS data in just seconds with no code required, and not only getting a connection to read that data, but to write back to that same system. We looked at ways to connect to common big named systems like Salesforce or SharePoint or DocuSign in the case that we went through. And we went through a system-specific experience that connected us to our existing DocuSign with really not even technical knowledge needed. We were copy-pasting values between the systems that Appian was telling us which values we needed. And we were able to see in just 2 minutes, Appian telling DocuSign to go send a document for signature, and then DocuSign telling Appian, yes, I did it successfully. We went to my email and saw that it had worked. We didn't have time to look at or demo other integration experiences, but I can assure you that they are similarly low code. We can, the named big systems are probably our lowest code experience because they're so specific. And our other integration experiences, they're low code, but they are a little bit more generalizable, so they connect to a wide range of systems, but they're just as powerful. When you get your data into Appian, there's another set of tools that you use to make that data visible to your users. You can drag and drop to make new interfaces in moments. Like I said, this is always one of the most popular parts of our training courses as people realize how easy and powerful it is to make a UI look the way they want. If you want to get started even faster, you can use our templates and patterns to get a rich interface that you can just begin tweaking instead of building out completely from scratch. And if the components we have don't quite meet your needs, you can look on the Appian App Market and download UI components built by our community. All of those, of course, are a way to begin showing data in your UI, not just making a good looking UI. And we looked at one experience for how quick it is to get data into a grid from your database. Finally, you want to take this UI and act on it. We looked at a tool for generating a form directly from a data structure where you can say, I need a form that captures a new candidate. Here's what a candidate looks like. And Appian says, great, here's a form that'll capture candidate information or edit candidate information. We had a brief glance at Appian's process modeler. This is a deep well we could have spent an entire session on alone. The rich complexity of the powerful tools that are available to you there in modeling your business processes. And then we looked at how quick it is to launch one of those processes from a UI using the 20.1 release's record action field component, which gave us plug and play powerful controls over not just kicking off an action, but deciding how it should look and behave very easily. That's all the material I have for you today. I hope that you're as excited as I am about the story here in Appian and the possibility of bringing all your data together and making it actionable in the same experience, doing it quickly and powerfully with no-code tools. If you want to learn more, though, don't take my word for it. You can register for a free trial today and be trying out these features on your own. Our free trial experience doesn't just give you an Appian environment, but also gives you examples and training materials to get you kickstarted doing this on your own in minutes. If you want to hear more at Appian World itself, here's a couple of sessions you can check out. Jenny is going to go over how to develop apps. So I showed you what some of the tools are. She's going to talk a little bit about the experience of developing with those tools. And Caroline's going to talk about using those tools to not just make an app, but then make that app real for your end users. How do you finish developing it and get it through test and all the way into production? That's all the material I've got for you today. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Appian World. If you have other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat for this session or to drop by one of our virtual booths to ask one of our experts any of the questions on your mind. Have a great day.